There are dire warnings that New South Wales will be hit by increasingly extreme weather.
2015 was the hottest year since climate records began.
Figures show this July was the single hottest month in recorded history.
Australia sweltered through its hottest spring on record.
Climate change is now affecting every country on every continent.
It's the rate that's of great concern.
And what do you put that rate down to?
Oh, it's human activity.
We have everything we need. Some still doubt that we have the will to act, but I say the will to act is itself a renewable resource.
Hello and welcome to Climactic. We're coming to you from the Kathleen Sinus Center, this time for a roundtable discussion with three members here of the, now, straight away terminology, is it the School Strike for Climate Organizing Team or the Climate Strike Organizing Team?
Yeah, I think Climate Strike,
Strike.
Organising Team.
Excellent. Long-time listeners will probably recognize some of the voices already. We do have some past and returning guests.
Hello.
hello. So we'll go around the room to my left. You want to just say hi and say who you are?
Hi, it's Marco here. You might have heard me at the start of the year after my Q&A performance. Been involved with School Strike and just finished school as well.
I'm Natalie. I'm a new voice, I guess, to podcasts.
Welcome, Natalie.
I'm from Uni Students for Climate Justice, and I've been organising climate activism, kind of with university students for a while now.
I'm Fatima, and I've been involved with School Strike for Climate, especially at the beginning of the year. And now I'm a uni student, so I'm trying to see where I fit in.
We all kind of go through those various phases and moments of growth. And kind of speaking of that, what a year this has been for kind of growth and change. So we've got something coming up at the end of this month on February. My head is already into the new year. Bring on 2020. On November 29th, we'll get into what that is, but that's also nearly celebrating the 1-year anniversary of something, the very first school strike. Do you guys have any memories kind of what November 30th, 2018 looked like?
It was so much smaller than what we see now.
Yeah, but it was still amazing. I do remember thinking it was probably one of the coolest events I had been to, particularly because it was all school students.
Yes.
There wasn't many other people besides from school students at that first one, and which created an awesome atmosphere and mood. And yeah, but it was teeny. It was like, I think it was around 7,000 people.
Yeah. So small.
I know, right?
Yeah, so maybe even less. It was pretty small, but yeah, it has grown.
It was like a mini
exponentially.
party, if you
really
describe
was.
it. Yeah, it really was.
And that was still on Parliament steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Remember at the time, it felt still pretty big, and when there's that march through the
For
streets as
sure.
well, this is going to sound really obvious and dumb, but 7,000 people is still a lot of people to have in one area.
Yep.
Which goes to show then just how crazy the numbers got
Yeah.
progressively over the year. So we went from November 30th to then the next strike was that in
March 15th?
February? Is that
March 15th.
March 15,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then September 20.
Yes. Tell me about November 29th. So they've kind of been roughly happening every quarter or so since then. What's the 29th about? Is it kind of to keep it momentum, or is there something sort of we're marking on that day?
So November 29, it's only a couple days before the start of the next COP, so COP 25 it was in Chile, but due to the humanitarian crisis there now, it's been moved to Spain, and so it was called to put as much pressure as possible for that COP because we really don't have time and we have to be pressuring our politicians now, and this is probably the last COP that we can actually make proper change on. So, that was kind of the idea about November 29. And yeah, so School Strike for Climate has organised events all around Australia, and in Melbourne there's going to be 2 events happening, which should be awesome.
And can we tell listeners a little bit about those 2 events? What are they and how can they get involved?
Yeah, so one of them is the first one starting at 12 p.m. That's the big climate strike. That will be starting at the State Library, and we'll be marching through the city, demanding particularly businesses get on board, particularly ones that are involved in the coal industry, such as the Adani mine.
We have a lot of those in the city.
Yeah.
It's like they're all just on Collins Street.
Yeah, it's like a walk of shame. It's amazing.
Yeah, and then there'll be the School Strike for Climate led action will be happening at 2:30 in front of Parliament on Parliament steps, and it'll be a sit down to hear from the people from the front lines of the climate crisis, particularly the fires, and raise awareness and hear from the people already experiencing the hardship that's happening, and they'll also be raising funds for something.
That's excellent, kind of like a mass sort of storytelling event for the climate crisis. That's really cool. Do you know if that's the first time? It is the first one here in Melbourne. It's been a sit down, and is that going to be in the roadway? Do you know? Is that a traffic blocking thing?
Yeah, can't say too much yet.
Just have to
just have to figure out. Yeah, they're still trying to figure out like how many people we're going to get, how that's going to work logistically.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think if gets too many people to stay on the steps, it's probably going to have to do that.
Yep.
However, it's hard to tell at the moment. Yeah.
So the elephant in the room is a lot of you have just like finished up exams, like the school year's only barely ended. Are you just sort of diving into the organization of this kind of now, like as soon as like an exam's over, that's it, you're free, let's plan a strike kind of thing? Or
I think Marco still has exams, yeah?
Well, no, I actually finished my exam today.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
Nice.
It obviously won't be the day you hear this, but
it'll be pretty soon, hopefully. Depending on how many early mornings it can do of anything.
Yeah, cool. So, finished today and felt amazing. Now I can get down to the work that I find really meaningful and important.
Yeah. One of the things, I guess, is like Uni Students for Climate Justice, like we aren't confined by the high school sort of terms. And well, my last assignment was due actually the day before September 20. So
nice.
I've been able to spend, a bunch of time actually doing this sort of organising. That's something that we're able to kind of bring and help boost the movement is like, so while everyone, like, unfortunately, I guess, had to do exams, like we could take some of that time to put in the work initially to kick things off as well.
Absolutely. That's a good kind of pivot into what the uni students' role has been through the last year of the school strikes. So, Fatima, I know you're newly at uni now, but you're still kind of feeling it out. But Natalie is kind of our representative here of the university student taking climate action. What's it been like kind of watching the secondary school students for the last year? Has there been a bit of like, why are we doing that? Or, they're doing it better than we could? Or how was it felt like?
Oh, like, exactly. And it's like the first, like, strike and stuff, it was like, this is the beginning of something, like, where are we? Why aren't we? But also, like, one of the things is, like, most of you will be at uni eventually. So it's like, it'd be ridiculous if there wasn't a space for high schoolers to come onto campuses and get involved. So from the very beginning, we were organising like contingents on our campuses to come and join, and big uni student contingents to go and join the, obviously September 20, but the beginning of the year in March as well. And like, I'm at RMIT University and we've had a really wonderful year actually talking to people, because everyone knows, like, people are studying enviroscience and stuff like that, and they're just looking for a space to actually channel that. So
has it been difficult at all? Have there been any students who felt like, we're kind of, there's enough within the school that, we can do the fossil fuel free RMIT, like there's a divestment campaign going, there's a lot of demands on university student time. Has there been like any kind of tension of like how's the turnout been essentially from unis?
Really great. We've seen some of the biggest turnouts actually of university student activism in a while, really since like I guess 2014 against Tony Abbott. That was my first experience with activism.
Very worthy one.
Yes, absolutely. And actually having so many different environmental groups on the campuses, like fossil free, like greening groups and stuff like that, we've all been able to come together. It's been this really cool cry where like we rally cry or whatever, where we kind of can all identify or whatever. Like at the September 20 RMIT, we got like 80 or 90 people to our contingent, but we like met up with Melbourne Uni as their contingent walked down Swanston Street, and they had like 200, 300 people. It's like one of the biggest on-campus actions they've had in, I think, over a decade, in terms of getting contingents to things or whatever. And so it was just like, it's like, okay, this is actually a real thing. It's really happening and people are getting on board.
And I think the best part about it being youth-led, everyone has fun while doing like rallies. So everyone, even if a lot of people aren't very interested, they just come in for the fun of it and then end up staying. So it's really nice.
Really.
Seeing
We
that.
have the best chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give us a sample of one now for those of us who haven't heard Nora My Two
You
chant?
put me on the spot.
This
It
feels really
weird
bad.
Like, it's very hard to do it.
You know,
because
it's a soundproof room, guys. It's all right. No one else is going to hear this.
It's like these little things. Like
No
I
one's
scream
listening
surrounded
right
by like
now.
200 people. There was the there's the like renewable energy 100% tax the rich for every cent.
Oh,
It's a
I
good
like
one.
that.
There's the
This is what democracy looks
Yeah.
like. That's kind of swept the
Yeah.
world. It's been really cool.
I like the we are unstoppable and
Yeah.
now the world is possible.
Yeah.
And
And then the most basic one, what do we want? Climate action, when do we want it now? When I was at the September 20 rally, there was this little kid, I think maybe 4 years old. He was standing on a bench on the side, and he was just screaming, what do we want? And the whole crowd, as they were walking past, would just scream turn to him and scream, climate action, and then
That's
he'd
hilarious.
just continue the chants.
That tiny
That's
band.
good.
Yeah, it was so
Wow.
cute. And then I gave him my microphone, and he was really popular. Because I'm sure you
Yeah.
can understand, sometimes the crowd just gets tired and
Yeah.
stops chanting. But because he was 4, everyone was just chanting with him. So it
Let
was
down the
Awesome.
cute
Yeah.
4-year-old.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good tactic, honestly.
So if you're not sure what to bring along to the school strike and you got a 4-year-old lying around,
Yeah.
they're always
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah.
for
good.
sure.
3-year-olds are good as well. That's that's David Attenborough's favourite aged human, actually.
Oh, wow.
So
Reckons we get worse after that, eh?
But he hasn't been to a climate strike then.
Oh.
Well, I mean, how could you go to like these sort of actions and be like, oh, the youth, you got to write them off? Like, there's
That's
actually
true.
like,
That's very true. Speaking about it, making it fun and making it appealing to go to, even if you're not yet over the fence and into taking action, I really wanted to ask you guys, as this is the 4th event of the year, how have you seen kind of new people join into the movement? What's been successful in bringing people over the fence fully from being interested and being sympathetic to being engaged? And have you got any people in mind, examples of someone who didn't know about it maybe at all for the first one, totally missed it, knew about the second one but didn't go, and then went in September?
yeah, I have quite a few people who are like that. I almost missed the first one in November 30. I wasn't actually part of the organising of it until
It's a weird parallel universe that Marco Bellemo is not out the front at the school strike.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so the first one I wasn't, March 15. After that one, definitely got
You caught
full
the bug.
involved. But I do know other people, who we just weren't able to reach to, obviously, or who weren't quite understanding yet of why it was so important. Yeah, it's been a whole year of different actions, and we've seen so many terrible things happening this year as well. It's just getting worse and worse. I think it's becoming much more obvious now how serious things are becoming.
Yeah.
The reports from the IPCC, and then
It's the lived experience of so many of our fellow countrymen and women.
yeah, and then the lived experience. It's just becoming really obvious, and I think, I hope everyone's coming because of those reasons and all the others. But also because it's youth and school students, there are indefinitely people who come because they want to take that day off. But hopefully they're doing it with the right intentions, and sure they are.
And it's also become really normal. Like when I was trying to campaign for March 15th, a lot of the times I would just go around and ask people, have you heard of the climate strike? And 2 out of 3 people would not have.
Yeah.
But now it's just a normal thing. Like, hey, you going to the climate strike? It's happening, next month. And they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, it's just super normal now. So I think that helps a lot as well.
yeah,
Well,
it's like the word of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Climate strike.
Collins Dictionary, I think.
Yeah.
Shout out to Collins
That's how
Dictionary.
you
Yes to the dictionary, no to the street. Okay, good. We got that sorted out. Yeah, it really has. It has been the year of the climate strike. And I'm kind of curious now what it's been like for you kind of interacting with older people who are very much looking at the climate strike, people who've been in the climate movement for years and years. And I asked some people before sitting down with you today what they want to know from you or what they would say to you. And they just said, hey, it's been amazing what you've done. Everything has changed and it's different and there's more energy and excitement in the movement and we're less just depressed and we're less cynical. What does that feel like? Is there any kind of weight you're carrying now of expectation? Are you a little annoyed? It's like, why is it us that have to do this? Or is it kind of like pride? Yeah, hell yeah, we have got this huge boulder starting to move.
Yeah, it's definitely both. Like, it puts a lot of weight on people organising the climate strikes. Like, it's a lot of organising and work goes into it, and that, like, particularly, like, I think that can be seen by people like Greta figureheads who are really feeling this on their shoulders, I think. And then, many in the movement as well. Because this all should have been resolved. We should have been able to get down to normal things, be doing the other things people should be doing at this age, and yet we haven't. We've been... like, it's become normal to organise climate strikes and this for me, which is great, but then again, it's like, why?
It's messed up as soon as you think about it, right?
The hours that go into it, and like people's childhoods have literally been taken away. But then we have to, I guess, put that into perspective with all the people who are losing their lives because of the issue that we're trying to fight. So
we discussed this a few days ago or a few weeks ago with the whole school strike for climate movement. Everyone feels it's really hard because, you know, at such a young age, you're part of this global movement that's making headlines, and, you know, you're in the spotlight, and then it sort of puts you off of your education sometimes. Like, you don't find the will
to make it feel important, I guess.
You don't, like, it's hard to gather up, you know, the will and the strength to go study after you've taken part in this whole thing, and it's hard to find the motivation to keep going. And, like, sometimes you're at a crossroads because you know it's important, but then education's important too, and how do you find that balance? And so it's a struggle sometimes. Well,
as like one of the things is that as the movement grows, as more people are thrown up as people who can step into like leadership positions and have the experience of just organising things on their campuses, taking those initiatives and stuff like that, it does help share the load.
That's true.
A lot, which I think really helps. It is this like double-edged thing where you just like, you go to these actions or you spend time trying to build these sort of things, and you're just like, you want to grab people, just like, why don't you care? Like, why don't you care enough to just like take time off or whatever? And they were just like, oh no, but like my exam's really important and stuff like that. And you're like, but then it's like, how do you go to actions like with 150,000 people at it and then have just despair? It's like, actually, when you compare that to even like a year ago when like, I've been going to like climate actions and stuff in Melbourne for like 5 or 6 years now, and it's like we'd seen nothing like this for so long. It's like, how do you have despair? It's like, we were at the beginning, this is what it means, but actually it's building.
It's truly amazing how like exponential the growth has been of these. And I think when balancing the education and the school strikes, I feel like in this day and age we don't have the luxury to live a balanced life. We simply, that's part of it as well. Like, we can't, I don't feel like I can have a balanced life because things are so out of balance that I have to be doing more than I should actually be to really resolve these issues that we are facing. So I think that's a big thing that's...
So you'd said that there had been such exponential growth through the year, and there definitely has been. I mean, just the numbers alone, from 7 to 50 to 150,000 people. So that, of course, sets up this next question of this next event, which is gonna be smaller. I only heard about it myself a week or two ago. It's a lot shorter lead time, less advertising time. It's a hard time of the year for a lot of people as well. Is that okay that this is going to be a smaller event? Is this just a new phase where it goes from being big spectacle to it being kind of this persistent presence, conversational, like, it's not going to be a huge march to the streets. It's going to be a sit down and listen to stories of people who've survived climate change impacts.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important to have this persistent pressure and presence. And I think that's brilliant that we're seeing that a lot more now. In this last month, we've had like 3 weeks of full actions, and it's been crazy, and we need to keep this going because it's clearly having an impact. Like,
where's Scott Morrison?
Yeah, well, he...
It's so weird. Where is he?
So I'm glad that even after all the pressure and the stress, we can all have a laugh. that we've successfully driven away our country's prime minister.
Scott, I just want to talk, Scott. Scott, reach out. I just want to talk.
Yeah, that's...
You can use an alias. You can call yourself Harold if you need to. It's okay.
Yeah, and I guess in regards to November 29, that's we're mainly organising the climate strike here because the sit down is the school strike for climate led, and I'm now officially not a school student, so leaving that to all
today.
As of today, so leaving that to the school strikers who are going to do an amazing job, and that will be amazing. That will be very much, as I imagine, like a sit down to really acknowledge and hear from those victims of the climate crisis to move forward in a more collective manner. But yeah, before that, at 12 p.m, we're going to be leading this. Hopefully, it's a huge action. It obviously probably won't be anywhere near as big as September 20, but we still need anyone who's listening to reach out to anyone they know, and make this thing as big as possible.
Yeah, because even like actions that are a few thousand people are still not just incredibly important in terms of keeping up momentum, but can be just as loud, just as vibrant, just as disruptive.
And visible.
Yeah, in August, Uni Students for Climate Justice initiated it was called a walkout, I think, but it was another kind of climate strike type action where we got out a few thousand people, and it was helping to build the momentum for September 20 and normalize activism on the campuses. And we got to kind of tour through the city and bang on some windows at some climate criminals and stuff like that. And so just as much as it's about disrupting the city, it's also getting people used to being activists and doing this sort of stuff as well. So all of these things play a really important role for building the movement.
So with it being a year to pretty much the date on November 29th, what kind of advice would you have for yourself a year ago, or these new members taking up the mantle of School Strike for Climate? What have you kind of learned? What would you tell yourself a year ago as you kind of prepared for the crazy year this has been? And no doubt the crazy year 2020 will be. Because that's not the kind of question that ABC or any kind of other interviews you're getting. They all want to hear what you're doing and why. They don't want to make the next cohort more efficient and more powerful and able to sustain themselves better. But I do.
Great. For me, some of the most important things I've learnt through my work with School Strike is one is not going into conversations with the idea that you have to win people over. I've really tried to be overcoming that idea because it was kind of stuck in me at the early of the year. I was like, this is my view, and wasn't too open. But I've really I think School Strike and working within these movements really helps you to open perspectives, and you really have to do that with these groups, which makes it so powerful as well, it helps build the power and strength of these movements because there are so much different perspectives, and we have to be able to be cool with that and be really open, listen to others, and there's always gonna be hurdles in the way, and we're just gonna and they might actually be big walls rather than just a hurdle, and that's the kind of thing you have to be ready to hit, and you have to have. And I think for me, School Strike for Climate had always provided a space to be with other people who think similar things rather than just being isolated. So that was very beneficial. But take a bit of time off if you need to, and be open to ideas, accept challenges when they come, and just be flexible. And I think that's.
Marco, you said so many good things there that I would really stress that if you're a young person listening to this interview now, go back and re-listen to what Marco said there a couple of times, because not a lot of that will be relevant until it's the right time, and that's what you need to hear. But when that clicks with you, that's going to save you a lot of pain and stress. And there's a movement full of people, and every person is different and has an ego and has a way of talking to them and working with them that's easy and a way that's not. And it's what a great school of life experience you've had in the last year. And how about you, Fatima? Now you've kind of made that transition to a totally different world.
I'd say don't take anything to the heart, because this whole thing is a game of patience. You know, you don't see change overnight. You see it over time. Because organizing has to do with people and how many people you can get on your side, it's really unpredictable, because human behavior is really spontaneous and unpredictable. You never know how anyone's thinking or how they go about life. So a lot of the times you have a lot of, I think, silent listeners, or like kind of silent people. So they won't like flip the switch until something happens. So you can talk to them as much as you want, but maybe down the line they'll just sort of convert, you know? So I'd say, just keep patient and just keep going, because consistency is what got me through everything.
Yeah.
When we were organizing all the strikes, everyone would always ask us, what's the predicted turnout? And we would just go off of like Facebook numbers, which is like 10,000, and we ended up with like 100,000 or 150.
That's the exact opposite problem everyone else has when they're planning Facebook events.
That's so true. So, like, I'd say never put anything off. And even Chris Hemsworth went to the class, which is so fun. Yeah. It was so exciting knowing I'm part of this movement, and Chris Hemsworth went there. So.
Chris Hemsworth is part of your movement.
That's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you never know. Like, and I would have never known Chris Hemsworth is listening to any of the climate strikes. So, but he was, and he ended up
thank
going.
you. Hopefully he's listening to this as well. And
Chris, if you hear from ScoMo, let me know.
But yeah, so I'd say whatever patience you put in, it's definitely going to be worth it. Whether it's overnight or over a couple months, it's your hard work eventually will always show.
That's really good. Excuse, this might be a terribly tortured metaphor, but like if you want to plant a garden and you're like putting seeds down, you're not going to have your garden grow any faster by throwing seed at it. You got to like change tacks, start watering it, and just being patient with it. And that's a different type of attention and type of care. But yeah, you can't just keep throwing. And I'm totally guilty of this. I'm sure a lot of listeners are just like, but don't you get it? It's so serious. It's just a day off work. What?
Yeah.
That transition, like, hey, me and your other friend are going to this school strike. Sometimes a change in tactics and patience is very, very well rewarded.
Yeah.
How about you, Natalie? Have you found the last year in terms of growth and lessons?
I think the lesson is you're always capable of more than you think you are. And I think that's especially important for like all the incredible young women we've seen step up to be leaders in this movement, people who've spent especially our entire lives being told that this is not our place to be outspoken. You see all the sort of hate that Greta Thunberg gets especially, but actually all of any woman and any young person really will tell you you're told that you can't be a leader and you should just return back to school and whatever, stop having opinions. So like it takes a lot to shake that off and to get some confidence but it's like if you believe enough in what you're fighting for and you've got people around you that can believe in you and boost that, and you just kind of also just give it a go. And it's like, and if you stuff something up, you say some wrong words or you chant something wrong, it's like, doesn't really matter. It's not the end of the world.
It's actually endearing, and that the relatability makes it more powerful. It's the amazing thing is like after that first strike, and I got to interview Maisha, who was up there leading that strike, and was just like, wow, you're a really cool person, but you're just a person. And it was straight away just like, wow, this movement has legs, because it's not just the result of a few amazing people. It's a bunch of really just great people. Thank you, Natalie.
I think I'd also like to add, like, you can do so much, like, with your own groups as well, within your own groups. You don't need to wait for people to organise the next climate strike. You can... I think that's been something I've learnt, and people around me have learnt as well, that we can just get stuff done ourselves. We have to do this because, and it's going to be so much more beneficial if we do start just doing stuff. Me and my mates just did these cool actions, and they were organised by just 4 of us, and they got pretty good attention, and this is the kind of thing you can do by yourself with a couple mates, and you can, do this pretty easily. So
And it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned like what advice you would give to new people, and I think that's one of the things. It's like there's an important role for everyone, and whatever you can do, whatever you can lend, whether that's coming to 2 hours to a rally, or whether that's, you know, putting up some posters or sharing the Facebook event, whatever it is, it's incredibly important. And it's by having lots of people doing all of that sort of stuff together, that's actually how we grow. Because you hear so many people who are like, oh, I feel like I just can't do enough so I'm not going to go at all. And you're like, no, it's like we just need like all of us start there, and then like that's how you get a bit more like, oh, I can find some more time in my life now, and I'll have to wait till this is over, but then I can find time or whatever. It's like, just start, just do something.
It's like a rippling effect. Like with me as well, ever since I started getting involved in the whole climate movement, I noticed that my whole family is like transition too, like without me saying anything. Like my mom is so particular on recycling in the house. She screams at everyone if we don't recycle properly or something like that. So, and I didn't even have to say anything. And my mom's actually a primary school teacher, so
it's having a huge effect on the next generation.
So automatically she's teaching all her kids how to recycle and everything about the environment. And it's as I said, it's like a rippling effect. When you see someone close to you do something, even if it's a small action, it just carries on.
And it's always hard to know who that particular person is as well, who's really looking out for those actions you're doing. And I think that's been so lovely to see that there is these people around who are really inspired by others, and you'll see change in unexpected places. And
Totally.
2 more questions to wrap up here. We're actually meant to be out of here right now, so every second you hear us from now on, I'm stealing time from the Melbourne City Library Service to make it exciting. There will be a lot of adults listening and a lot of parents, and I had the chance the other day to talk to Harriet O'Shea Carre's father, David, and I got to ask him kind of what it was like, this experience of knowing his otherwise completely normal teenage daughter. I said, like, look, is it weird that the name Harrison Ford and Leonardo DiCaprio and Greta Thunberg and Harriet O'Shea Carre are of the same caliber to a large sector of our society? A subculture, sure. A bubble, sure. But that's Harriet. And that's her daughter. What's that like? And he just said, it's mind-boggling, but I can't take it on too much. It's my daughter. I'm just like doing whatever I can to raise her the best I can in these times. So just thinking about the parents that are out there, what have you kind of appreciated about things your parents have done? Or like, what advice would you give to parents out there who are kind of maybe struggling to let their kid go to these things and take on the part of the mantle of responsibility for the School Strike for Climate movement?
Obviously, it's so different for every different family, and it's so hard to say as in general. Like, I acknowledge that I've been very privileged to have a family and parents who've been very supportive basically from the start. I started getting quite involved 3 years ago. They were a bit concerned then. They weren't too sure who I was hanging out with and stuff, going at these events and actions.
Also, it's intergenerational, so, you know, as a parent, all of a sudden your 15, 16-year-old son is hanging out with 60-year-olds. And it's like...
Yes, that was the start.
They're bad influences, boomers.
So I would say, like, my parents have, been really accepting to this. They've been really understandable why it's so important, and have made sacrifices themselves for it, which has been amazing. And I think for parents listening, just understanding the significance that the climate crisis poses on the people already, and the impacts that it will have on the youth and the people yet to be born, and how, and once you kind of acknowledge that, I feel like, how can you stop someone demanding they have a safe future, and that people are given justice around the world who are already feeling the brunt of it. Another big thing was, once my parents started listening and talking more about it, it became much more comfortable in the household, and that became much better for my mental health particularly. So I think there's like a stigma, like, let's not talk about it too much, it's doom and gloom, but really it did help me to be talking about these issues rather than just going to these meetings and talking about these folk and then
Like in
go
secret.
home and
Yeah.
come back and feel like not the people around me weren't up to
Mhm.
date. But now we're talking about it a lot, and it does feel much more supportive because of that. And I think, that's a good message.
Excellent. And that's really good practical advice to a lot of parents, actually, who don't really know how to both protect their children while raising them ready for this world. It's a tightrope. What do you think about yourselves, Fatima and Natalie, for how your parents have influenced you over the last year, and in what ways maybe you could give them advice on what they could do to be more supportive? Or
my parents, when I first started being an activist, they didn't really get it.
Has your daughter gone off to the big city, got
I very
liberalized?
I very much ran away to the city and started going to rallies, and it was always like, come home on the weekend, they'll be like, I saw you on the television. Like, oh yeah. But like part of it is just like, I didn't stop, and I didn't like in those first conversations it was like, all right, you don't get it, but this is something I care about, and I'm going to keep doing. And that's over the last few years has really become like, they've not just accepted it because they sort of had to, but also like working towards actually trying to get why I was doing what I was doing. And especially like, the question of the environment can be something that more people are aware of or care about. And, we're from, we were talking before this, but I'm from the Latrobe Valley, which is a coal mining town where obviously the health effects and environmental effects of coal mining is devastating. And so being able to have that conversation around, our hometown as well kind of opened it up. I think the main piece of advice I would give to parents is just listen to your kids and take them seriously. Like, especially, we're engaging in politics and thinking critically about the world. We're taking ourselves seriously. Yeah. And so engage with us on that level. And it's like you don't always have to agree and stuff like that, but just listen.
That's really good advice. I've seen it, sadly, within the family dynamics of people I know. Sadly, people who kind of only feed themselves media diets of Sky News and like far-right Murdoch craziness. It can sound as crazy to them as their child coming in from the backyard saying, I've just built a rocket ship out of boxes. I'm going to the moon now. I'd like you to pack me a lunch. And then, like you're saying, I want you to take your child seriously. But it does take some bravery, I think, on behalf of some parents actually making that decision to listen to their children and take them seriously. Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah, I guess that then gets countered though with activists and people who want to become activists that do have parents that disagree. That actually, there's an importance in still persevering where you can and where you're able to.
And I feel like that's the great thing about these movements. They provide a space with similar people with similar mindsets, so it is and has felt like a safe space, and it very much is so.
Yeah, a lot of us have right-wing parents that we will bond with you over.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, for anyone looking to join the movement, you'll find plenty of commiseration and camaraderie.
For me, I've been very privileged that my parents have sort of always been on my side. However, like I'm a bit too lucky because I'm from a family of immigrants. So my parents were all from Pakistan originally, and usually it's really common to see a lot of people being very conservative, especially when it comes to like a female lead in the family. So I was a bit afraid of that at the beginning. Like the first rally that I attended was a Stop Adani rally in September 2018, and I didn't want to tell my parents because for them, rally has a very negative connotation, like a very, huge
also
thing.
Fear of death.
Exactly,
or injury to your child.
Yeah, because, like, back home, it's not very easy to rally and just go away, go home and not be touched. Over here, it's really easy to do that. So at the beginning, my parents are very scared. They're like, are you going to get arrested? Or is something going to happen to you? Are we going to, but then I explained everything to them from the beginning to the end, and they're very accepting. Obviously, it's all facts. It's all science. And I'm really lucky that even my extended family is all in, like my aunts, my uncle, everyone. Awesome. Yeah, so at the beginning, my parents, it was a bit hard to convince them, but then once I started doing stuff, and then, for example, they'd tell my uncle, and everyone would, tell my parents, wow, your daughter's doing a really good thing. And my parents would be like, really? Oh, okay, yeah, thanks. And then they just started kind of growing with it. And then as they saw me get more and more involved, they saw that I really cared. It wasn't just like a phase or like it's me being consistently putting in time and effort. And I wouldn't hang out with my friends for weeks because I was too busy with this whole climate stuff.
Yeah.
So then I think, just over time, they just like learn to accept and see that it's something that's important and needs to be done. So, yeah.
I'm now nearly 15 minutes over my studio time, but I do have one final question just because I'm 30 in a few months. I'm rapidly like losing touch with youth and life and energy. It's been really cool in the last year since the school strikes especially that we are getting some bigger names, some celebrities, some people from entertainment taking a stand on this stuff, getting arrested. Jane Fonda. Michael C. Hall from Dexter. I did not know about Mr. Hemsworth, but
there's
hit me
also
up, Thor.
Maddie Healy from the 1975.
Yeah.
So they attended the Melbourne strike.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, you're answering my question before I can even ask it. This is great. Who are some people that you really like are chuffed or getting involved with the movement? And then like who do you most want to like come out as like a closet someone who cares about the future of our species? That's a weird thing to ask for. What do you guys reckon? I'll just quickly say for my own sake that
Got more.
Yeah.
Harold Holtz, funnily enough.
It's like I have a list and it's like the entire government.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I've become a huge fan of Montaigne.
Yeah.
Australian singer-songwriter, ARIA Award winner.
Yes.
Yeah, future guest of Climactic. She said yes. I just have to reach out to her agent and book it in. But she's here in Melbourne in a few days, and I'm like, maybe I wait. I'll wait till I'm in Sydney or she's in Melbourne or something. But, all right, whoever would like to start. Who's your favorite, and who do you want to get? Since Fatima's brought on Chris Hemsworth, like who else we got?
I've got to think a little bit about this. I'm not
Fair
too.
enough. Let's run through. Yeah, you got Jane Fonda for the older folks. You got
like
dancing. It's great.
Yes, and Sam Watterson.
Yes,
the whole crew. The whole newsroom crew.
Yes. Let's like the lead. What's his name from Dumb and Dumber? Yeah, that guy.
Ted.
Something.
Yeah.
Let's get the whole newsroom crew.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I actually can't say I know, like, all the people I'm really inspired by are the people who are really involved in it. So, I can't, I actually don't know too many celebs.
Yeah. So this is a good cautionary tale for the entertainment industry of like, you know what, activists are our folk heroes now. They are the celebrities.
Definitely. So I can't actually, like, I can barely think of
Harriet O'Shea Carre.
Yeah,
it's been like Joni Mitchell and stuff have been playing Musicians Rising out at the FLAC stuff.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
Really great.
Talking about their show.
Yeah, I guess like
Fatboy Slim and the Greta remix is we had Yo-Yo Ma here this week, and we played that at a panel he was doing. It's like everyone's just like
that was amazing,
grooving out to Fatboy Slim.
Yeah, actually, I guess I've always kind of loved Cat Empire, particularly because my teacher, shout out to Kieran, is a trombone teacher. So, if they could...
Wait, your teacher is a member of Cat Empire?
He is, yeah.
Oh, wow, what the...
Yes, he has been teaching me during Northcote High trombone. I can't say I've lived up to his amazingness, but...
So now he has to live up to yours.
Yes.
Well, yeah, like, if Cat Empire could... they've already been doing some cool stuff, but definitely would love to see them come out a bit more on climate stuff.
Well, yeah, you remember there was a bunch of British celebrities that came out during the International Rebellion. Olivia Colman, I was just like, I love Olivia Colman.
What is she from?
She's currently she plays the Queen in The Crown in the new season.
Yeah.
She was in that recent like period drama movie about Queen, and she's just a British comedian. I just think she's really wonderful.
So this is the warm up to getting the British royal family attending.
Oh, true. If we could see the Queen coming out to the
with the D-lock. Like who wore it best, Audrey Cook or Queen Elizabeth?
But my list, the person I want, Harry Styles.
Oh yes.
Do it, Harry.
He might.
I'm gonna when he tours. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
We'll take a demand.
Just take all the signs. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
We'll do
he does other stuff. Like he's very like reasonably outspoken around LGBTI stuff and racism, and he donates like money to charities and stuff to all his ticket sales. So I think he's a
feminist as well.
Yeah. So I think he's a good target.
Yes.
Come on, Harry.
Yes, Harry.
And is that about it on the celebrity corner of Climactic? First time we've done that. But I just wanted to check in.
They do have a huge potential to influence a huge amount of people. So 100%. Definitely, all the celebs listening, use the power you've got and the influence you've got.
Yeah.
Mr. Gore, I know you've listened to one of my episodes so far, I'm pretty sure. You've got some mates. You're already working on them. It's okay.
And it's also really exciting for me to see a bunch of people that I already looked up to who have already stepped up. Like there's a bunch of I watch F1, so there's a few F1 drivers, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg. Nico Rosberg is a former F1 champion, and he started up this whole thing. It's like a green tech convention. So it's like showcasing technology for like a greener future. Yeah, and I remember once he was on stage and he held like this Friday for Future sign, and I was just so excited. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Because it is a slightly conflicting sport.
Yeah, exactly. No, but F1 planned to go carbon neutral by 2025, I think.
Oh, wow.
And they've already got the electric F1. I always forget what it's called. It's FF something.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, they've had it for at least a few years now. They've got an electric car F1, which is great because that is like pushing for the R&D of electric cars so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it is interesting you mentioned that because like Lewis Hamilton, he is even though he's F1 driver, he's vegan and he advocates a lot for the environment, and he tries his best to like go on electric cars whenever he's going from one place to another or something like that. So it is interesting to see the confliction, but it's also nice to see that people, despite whatever is going to be thrown at them, they're still trying to push forward and do what they can.
Yeah, and that is great. That from within systems, we are seeing people wanting more and better. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your generosity with your time. We've gone over the heavies, the toughs at Melbourne Library. You're about to come kick us out, so I better get going. We'll see you on the streets on November 29th in Melbourne or wherever you live.
Definitely 12 p.m. State Library and then 2:30 Parliament House.
We'll get a bunch of links in the show notes, but schoolstrikeforclimate.com is a place to go for the main site, and check out events and check out Facebook, mainly from there. All right, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
See you on the streets.
Yes.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to Climactic, the flagship podcast of the Climactic Collective, a podcast network dedicated to lifting the voices of the climate community. You can find out more about the people behind Climactic and all the shows we produce at climactic.fm. We are a social enterprise podcast network, and we greatly appreciate your support. You can find a link to our Pozible where you can support us directly in the show notes of this episode or from our website. Thank you for listening, and from the whole Climactic Collective, keep up the great work and take care of each other in these climactic times.
The Climactic Collective.